Okay, so I think we're live. So welcome to my channel. Let's talk salvation. So we're talking about anything and everything about Christ's message of salvation. So siguro punta tayo dun sa napanood ko kagabi. It's about Saint Paul and his influence in the church. So yung napanood ko, sabi niya doon, Saint Paul is the second most influential person in Christianity next to Jesus Christ, which, of course, I think has some sense, makes sense. And actually, nagsimula siya doon na nung, I think, nung college daw sila, mayroon daw tanong doon, sino daw ang pinaka-influential na tao sa mundo. Ang nangyari daw, lumabas dun sa study nila na si Muhammad daw. And the reason is, ang nangyari kasi sa Christian religion, nahati yung sabihin natin yung boto kay Jesus Christ at saka kay Saint Paul. Pero siguro, ang ibig niya sabihin doon, kung pinagsama yung numbers ni Jesus Christ and Saint Paul, yun yung magiging pinaka-influential. So anyway, ano lang naman niya yun, intro niya yun. And siguro one of these days pwede nating i-discuss or pwede ako maggawa ng reaction video dun sa video na yon. And kailangan tanggalin ko pa itong nakakaharang. Okay. So yan, anyway, yan yung comment ko lang doon is diniscuss niya doon kasi yung na doon daw sa history ng Christianity, despite doon sa mga nakalaban na paniniwala ni Saint Paul within the Christian community, siya pa rin yung nanalo. So actually yung video niya yata ang title is Why Saint Paul Won. So yan. Pero nung sabi niya din, yung sa intro din, nung namatay si Saint Paul, parang sa palagay niya, parang nasayang lang yung efforts niya. Pero yun nga, sa panahon natin ngayon, and yun nga, yung fact na siya yung pangalawang pinaka-influential, it means na he was the winner kung meron nga talagang nangyaring dispute. So, actually, yung nga dun parang pinapakita dun sa video niya na nung time ng early Christianity, meron mga internal disputes. And actually, ang mga protagonists nga doon is mga nakalaban niya is si Saint Peter at saka si Saint James the Just, yung brother of Jesus. Yun nga, sabi, is the brother of Jesus na yung grupo nila ni Saint James at saka ni Saint Peter, sila yung nag-establish ng church na naiwan sa Jerusalem. And ang paninindigan nila is kailangan ipagpatuloy pa rin yung mga batas na nasa Torah. So ang contention nila is Christ came here not to abolish those laws, but to strengthen them. And yun nga, yung parang mas patibayin pa. While ang paninindigan naman ni Saint Paul is yung mga batas na nasusulat dun sa, yun nga, yung mga nakasulat sa Torah has been replaced na hindi na kailangan ng mga batas. And faith lang is enough for you to be saved or to attain salvation. So yun yung point of contention nila. So if you'll be able to watch this video, sana i-follow mo yung TikTok channel ko, and also I'm planning to post this content in YouTube and similar with the similar title, Let's Talk Salvation. So yan, anyway, yun ang ano doon, ang point doon is when studying the scriptures, we have to siguro kailangan natin malaman yung background nung pagkakasulat nung Bible, and not just blindly reading na yung mga taking literal interpretations. And so, yun nga, we have to consider the circumstances yung mga yung mga agenda ng mga authors ng Bibles, kung ano yung mga stands nila. Pero syempre, ang main point is despite nung mga, sabihin natin, yung mga pag-aaway nila or yung mga agenda nila, ang kailangan maintindihan natin is the message remains to be there. Hindi naman pababayaan ng Diyos na hindi makarating sa atin or sa papupuntahan yung message. So yung messenger is just a conduit. Okay? So kung may agenda man yung nagsulat, the important thing is kung ano yung dating sa atin ng mensahe. Kung yun nga, we should pray for the guidance of the Holy Spirit para maliwanagan tayo kung ano ba talaga yung mensahe. And we shouldn't rely on any other person's interpretations. So pwede tayong makinig sa mga interpretasyon ng iba't ibang tao, pero ang pinaka-importante is yung pagkaunawa natin. Yun ang dapat nating pagsikapan na pagtiwalaan. Okay? And we cannot entrust our salvation on other people, or yun nga. Yeah, we can let them guide us, pero kapag nakita natin na mali na sila or parang iba yung pagkakaintindi natin, kailangan magbigay tayo ng effort para yung pag-unawa natin, mayroon tayong confidence na panghawakan. Na yun. And nakita nga natin yung pananampalataya or paniniwala ng mga apostol na hinawakan nila. Hanggang kamatayan hinawakan nila at hindi nila binitawan. Okay, anyway, ang next kong ipapakita is before nga na mapanood ko tong video na to, may ginawa na akong content. So I'll just show it to you na yun nga, it shows na kapag nagbabasa tayo nitong Bible, we have to consider the biases that these authors have. So meron yan yung cultural, generational, and yun nga, situational bias na depende sa mission nila kung ano yung agenda nila. So yun yung kailangan natin i-take into consideration. So pakita ko na lang muna. This is actually also a parang sample ko to as a showcase. Kasi if you don't know, I'm a virtual assistant. So 3D animated content na pinapakita ko. Okay, so let me pull it up, and I hope you enjoy it.
Greetings, seekers of wisdom. Today, we embark on a journey into the depths of biblical interpretation, focusing on the fascinating interplay of cultural, generational, and situational biases within the sacred texts. The Bible, a repository of divine wisdom and human experience, reflects the cultural and generational contexts of its diverse authors. Their unique perspectives and biases shape the narratives and teachings found within its pages. Let's delve into this intriguing topic by exploring how cultural, generational, and situational biases influence the writings of the biblical authors. The cultural milieu in which the biblical authors lived undoubtedly influenced their worldview and understanding of moral and ethical norms. For example, Old Testament laws reflect the social norms and customs of ancient Israel, including regulations on diet, clothing, and interpersonal relationships.